Jeez whiz, has it already been 2 months since the last episode? I gotta do these more often. But welcome to another episode of Useless COD Zombies Information. Same deal as always, if we hit the like goal, then I'll make another episode. If this video hits 3,000 likes, then I will upload another episode of Useless COD Zombies Information. So go down below this video and click that like button. And also, click that subscribe button too. YouTube tells me that a lot of you guys who watch my channel aren't subscribed to me.
And I'm very angry about it.
So subscribe too while you're down there. And also, before we jump in, I got one thing to ask you guys, and I want you to comment down below what you think. If you haven't been paying attention, I've made quite the leap in video quality in the past 2 years. And I say this because if you go back and watch those old useless information videos, like the first 4 or 5, the quality of them is questionable. In the Chaos Story trailer for Black Ops 4, Bruno can be seen using Molotovs and the 205 Brecci, neither of which are available in BO4 Zombies. Especially that mic quality, oh my god. But the whole reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to ask you guys, and I want you guys to comment what you think down below. Would you guys be okay if I repurposed those videos, pretty much made them completely over, but with an actual good microphone, and have decent editing skills, and all that fun stuff? If not, that's fine, I totally understand. Kind of sounds like I'm recycling content, but that's honestly not what I'm going for. I just can't stand the sound and the quality of those older videos, and when someone watches this series, I want them to be able to enjoy it and not have their ear canals pierced. So let me know what you think, and with that being said, let's get into the useless information. On Shadows of Evil, if you don't know, if you get the Civil Protector to land on a Margwa, then that Civil Protector will actually insta-kill the Margwa. That's not useless, you can use that, but believe it or not, this wasn't always the case. On release for Shadows of Evil, if the Civil Protector came down right next to the Margwa, he would not damage him at all. This was changed around a couple months after launch, but it is kind of weird looking back at it. And in case you're wondering why the Civil Protector's name is green in this clip, that's because you can actually change his name to a few different colors. Go into video settings for BO3 and change this colorblind setting to whichever friendly color you like and save it to change the color of the Civil Protector's name. In the Shangri-La part of Revelations, if you get some speed at the top of the Pack-a-Punch area and slide down it really fast, then you'll actually hit an invisible barrier. I don't know why this is here, probably for the debris that's here at the beginning, but it's kind of crazy that it's this low. In 2017, in between DLC 3 and 4 for Infinite Warfare Zombies, the director of the mode, Lee Ross, went on Twitter and he would occasionally make hints as to what DLC 4 would be. This could be from its location, to its setting, to this pretty funny tweet which is him glazing the super Easter egg. And keep in mind, this is before anyone got their hands on the super Easter egg. So just seeing this tweet is actually pretty funny, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because before DLC 4 came out, specifically on August 31st, 2017, Lee Ross tweeted, "Wouldn't it be amazing if we had hidden the DLC 4 map in plain sight this entire time?" So you know what that meant? Everyone put their cryptic glasses on and tried to decipher this message, and they saw it in plain sight, so they went and popped it. Wait, no, that's the wrong game. What actually happened was, this got the community thinking about what this could be. We checked Willard's old posters around all the maps and everything like that, and eventually, we did find the map name for DLC 4, and sure enough, it was hidden in plain sight. Outside of the motel area on Attack of the Radioactive thing, you can find a drive-in sign that says, "The Beast from Beyond." You know this banger on Classified? Yeah, well, it also plays in the biodome on BO3 Moon. That's such a relaxing song. Which, speaking of, on Shangri-La, Dempsey will reference the closet on Call of the Dead, and the rest of the crew will actually respond to him.
Finally, we're out of that damn closet.
Yeah, but it was nice break, no?
Not for me. That was a horrible experience.
And sticking with this, on Black Ops 1 Moon, if anyone besides Richtofen tried to grab the road device, then their character will say a quote saying that they don't want to, nor will they pick it up.
No way. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot M16.
No way. I do not want any part of this.
I refuse. I will not become tarnished.
And shout out to, I think, Enter You Games. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but thank you for that useless information you left in the comments. If you guys have useless information, go ahead and leave it down below, and if it's good enough, I'll put it in the next video and shout you out. On Dead of the Night, when you gaze into the stones for Pack-a-Punch, then the game will actually hint to what the challenge is along the outline on your screen. So for example, for the clock challenge, there will be gears on the outside of the screen to hint that to get this tuning fork, you have to do something involving a gear, or at least something that looks like a gear. For the perk stats you want one, this one is definitely the most obvious. The game will show you a vampire's mouth on the outside of the screen, signifying to get this tuning fork, you'll need to kill vampires near this perk. And finally, for the random item stone, this one is mostly different, but for the most part, the game will either show you an item near what you have to interact with to spawn in the ghost, or it'll show you what your item is inside of. And shout out to GD Inferno Boy for the useless information. On Gorod Krovi, when the dragon first lands on the department store building in your game, then he'll knock over this red letter that's on top of the department store that'll fall onto this truck. Now this is crazy, but I didn't know this was a thing until like a month ago. I've been playing this map for 9 years and never noticed this, even though it's been in trailers too. On Black Ops 6 Zombies, if you pop Newtonian negation and then have your friend bleed out, then their body will fly into the air. The ghosts on Blood of the Dead will bleed if you shoot them. The Avogadro on Alpha Omega also bleeds if you knife him. And one more that I know of, the Civil Protector of all things will bleed if you melee it. On Tagged or Toten, Marlton references the weapon locker when you first enter the area near Soda.
Seems like more of a commercial vessel, but I hope they have a weapons locker.
On 5, if you turn on the power and then look at the monitors and spawn, then you'll see that the monitors are on. But if you then use mods and then type in the command R_Fulbright1, then all the pictures on the screens will go away and it'll just have 847.01 on the screen. This is on just about every single monitor in this map, and I gotta ask.
The numbers, basically. What do they mean?
If you're watching this video the day it comes out, then that means in 12 days it'll be June 8th, 2025. Do you know what happened on June 8th?
Of course you know what happened on June 8th. The Super Easter egg hint turns 8 years old.
Okay, sorry, got a little out of hand. But in all seriousness, Mr. Dalek JD released his interview with Jason Blundell, where Jason Blundell said he would talk to us again about the Super Easter egg in about 8 years' time.
Well, it's like, and here's the thing, I know there's intensity in the community. I think I may be talking about this in about another 8 years' time.
Wow.
You can ask me all you want. I'm going to put that away in a vault and talk to you again about it in 8 years' time.
Okay, and by then we'll be old and growing beards.
Yeah, exactly.
And in 12 days, it'll be June 8th, 2025. AKA, in 12 days, exactly 8 years from when this interview came out. So will we see Jason Blundell somehow tell us the Super Easter egg? I highly doubt it, but it's fun to think about. On Dead of the Night, if you go down while you're doing the Vampire Tuning Fork challenge, then the game won't apply the gray effects that go on your screen normally when you're downed. Instead, it'll just keep the same effects like everything's normal. If you load into the Krogzilla boss battle, then when your character spawns in, they will say a quote that alludes to there being no color, even though there's quite obviously color.
You ain't gotta turn off my color, Daddy-O. I was born an instant classic, baby.
Either my peepers are failing me or the monochrome isn't just my imagination running rampant, and that can only mean one thing. Oh, brother.
Can anyone explain why I'm monochrome?
Black and white and in the 50s? No. Get me out of here, Willie. I want out. I said I want out.
This is because if you've never played Attack, when you first spawn in the actual map, there isn't any color, but in the boss battles mode, the side mode where you practice boss fights, it just spawns you in the arcade, which obviously does have color. The trailer for Eisendrache, Zetsubou no Shima, Gorod Krovi, and Revelations all start the same way, with them having some sort of symbol on it, and it zooms in to show the map. Similarly, both Eisendrache and Gorod Krovi's trailers also end the same way too, with them having a dragon breathing fire. Which, speaking of trailers, around like a year ago, can't believe it's been that long, jeez oh whiz, time flies, I made a useless information video where I was going over all the differences from Shadows of Evil's gameplay trailer to how we know Shadows of Evil today. And a lot of you guys wanted to see this for other maps, and I went to the rest of the trailers for BO3, and I found every single difference in all of them from the trailer to the map's release. Or at least so I think. I could have missed something after all. Now before I get into this, let me just preface this with saying, obviously with them having such a short window between the trailer and release, there won't be as many differences in these trailers versus Shadows, so keep that in mind. And with that being said, let's start with the Eisendrache. At the 6-second mark, if we zoom in right here, you can actually see that there's no map for the Pack-a-Punch machine. Thankfully though, either a dev or a QA tester, doesn't matter who, but somebody told them that it would be a terrible idea to not have a map for Pack-a-Punch. It's a shame they weren't there again for Blood. And we're gonna fast forward around 30 seconds to get to the next difference, which there is a lot of differences in this one shot alone. For starters, if we zoom in at the top here, then you can actually see that the power barrier to block you from entering where the death ray would be until you open the power, that looked a little different from how it does today. For comparison, this is what it looked like back then, and this is what it looks like today. And also, if we pan to the right just a little bit, then you can actually see that the Samantha Says computer that we place a summoning key on at the end of the Easter egg isn't there. And what's weird about this is that earlier in the trailer, they show a clip at the rocket test, and the one at the rocket test is there. So did they plan on having a second machine somewhere else and they moved it last minute, or did they just not have it in yet? I don't know. But additionally, if we pan down a little bit, like I said, there's a lot to take in this one shot alone. Then you'll actually see one of the gate barriers from Shadows of Evil on the sides where the floating 115 debris would be. And also in the shot before this one, you can see behind Richtofen where the 115 debris would be for the church. There's just another gate here. Although this one looks fairly similar to the gates near the HVK wall by, so that could be this one, or it could be like Shadows of Evil's where it opened to the side. I don't know. It's pointless to debate about because before this map came out, they changed both of these debris, so now the 115 debris is there. This is why I love going through these old trailers, because of little things like this. A few seconds later at the 40-second mark, we can see that there's two blue signs pointing both ways on the opposite side of the bridge from where the VMP is. And finally, finishing off the Eisendrache trailer, I know, it was quick, but we're already here. At the 51-second mark, we can have nostalgia because if you look at the Gobblegum machine, you'll see that there's no gumballs in it. And if you don't know why, this is because for the first like 4 months or so of BO3's life cycle, the Gobblegum machine acted like the mystery box was. It was only at like 2 locations at a time, and after you use it enough, it would move and you'd have to track it down again. And I've already covered this in this series, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because it wasn't but like 2 weeks after the Eisendrache trailer that they actually changed the Gobblegum machine so it was at every location. Now, moving on to Zetsubou's trailer. At the 54-second mark, we can see that there's no symbol on the skull stand, and also both the skull stand and the skull itself were very early, very low texture models. This next part I already went over in a video, but I might as well go over it again here while I'm talking about it. Near Lab A, the map was in full English, which, story-wise, makes absolutely zero sense. Later in the trailer, they'll show a clip of a character going down the pipe, and strangely enough, they didn't have the blue and the green plants in here to light up this pipe green and blue. Instead, they had what seemed like red flares lighting up this pipe instead. And finally, at 1 minute and 19 seconds, we see the spiders for the very first time, and for some reason, their bodies didn't glow orange. And honestly, these make the spiders scarier. As an arachnophobe myself, I kinda prefer it like this. Moving on to Gorod Krovi's trailer, this ain't a difference, but I just wanted to point it out. At the 9-second mark, the power's off, but Sophia's on. What? Then a few seconds later, we look at this shot of Nikolai panning over the boss fight arena. And if we look at the corner of this building, you'll see that there's something weird sticking out the side of it. And for some reason, everybody in this community thought this was a staff. And even as like a 14, 15-year-old kid back then, that made absolutely no sense to me when people were saying that. But also in this shot, if we look at the challenge podium in the spawn room, then the green flame isn't lit like it normally would be. After Nikolai's infamous job of killing line, the next shot shows him shooting the 48 dredge, but for some reason, they play the sound of the M8A7.
This should do job of killing.
And moving on to Revelations, at the 14-second mark, you can see on the spiral stairs of Noct that the message for the chalk Easter egg is different. Initially, the message that would spawn in Mob of the Dead was on the wall right here in Noct, even though when you play this map, Salvation Lies Above is here instead. At the 19-second mark, you can see a real VMP at the VMP wall by. If you don't know what this means that whoever was recording this part for Treyarch, they went in this game and bought the VMP off the wall before they shot this shot. Crazy to think that Treyarch doesn't use mods to record their videos. Couldn't be me. Later on in the trailer, going back to the chalk Easter egg, there's no message where one would be on Mob of the Dead. Around 10 seconds later, Richtofen shoots the Vesper, but of all guns that play, we hear the Dingo. At the 35-second mark, we can see a shot of Varrock, and it's quite a bit different in this shot. The teddy bear for the Easter egg song isn't on the chair here, so that's kind of strange. But also in the same shot, you can see these weird, almost kanji-like characters, or maybe it is kanji, I can't tell, it's very low quality. But you can see them outlining this doorway. However, in the final version of the map, you guessed it, those characters are not here. And one final thing we can see in this shot, we can barely make out what the old Keeper Protector stand looked like. From what we can see, it just looked like the Keeper skull, and probably the flag too, just tied to the wall, with there being no Keeper stone to build it on. At the 42-second mark, they didn't have the Super Easter egg done yet, so the Wisp wasn't on the truck. At the 55-second mark, and this isn't a change, but I did want to put it in this video because it's kind of strange. Nikolai will shoot the Apothecon Servant, and then you will hear the Shadow Man teleporting mid-black hole. Yet again, I went over this in a previous video, but this is the BO3 trailer section of the video, so I'm gonna throw it in again. In this clip, we can see Richtofen using the rocket shield, even though in the final version of the map, the only shield that's available is the dragon one. And also, if we look at the Pack-a-Punch tracker on the side of the screen right here, you'll see that in the center, there's 4 death ray coils. You probably know where I'm going with this already, you definitely do if you were around back then, but everyone thought that this meant that we were gonna get the staff somehow on this map. And at least for this map, it wasn't totally ridiculous that people were thinking that, because at least we did have something to base this off of. Because in a different Dalek interview with Jason Blundell, he asked Jason Blundell this question and got a very interesting response.
Will the Origin staffs ever return?
Will we ever see them again? I think we will see them again.
Okay. That's a good answer. Yeah.
Now obviously in hindsight, we all know what he meant was that we would be seeing the staffs again because we would be getting an Origins remaster in DLC 5. But at the time, nobody thought this, because when BO3 came out, the DLC 5 thing was a nice pipe dream, but no one actually thought it was gonna happen. Because every Zombies game from Black Ops 1 on were all speculated to have a DLC 5 and never did. They had 1 through 4 and that was it. And this video came out around the same time as Gorod Krovi. So naturally, we all thought if he said we see the staffs again, then surely they had to be in DLC 4, right? Well, obviously that was wrong, and what he was trying to tell us without actually telling us, that we would be getting a DLC 5 with at least an Origins remaster and other maps on top of that. And this just completely went over the community's heads. But hey, at least we did get the staffs and Revelations. Kind of. And that was every single difference I could spot in Black Ops 3's trailers. If you guys want to see me do this again for like BO2 or BO4, let me know down below in the comments and I'll get it done, and it won't take a year this time, I promise. And finally, if you come to this part of the BO6 multiplayer map, Bounty, then you'll actually hear the very first Easter egg song ever in Zombies. And shout out to Lewis for this useless information. And thank you all at home for watching this video. Like I said earlier, 3,500 likes and I'll make another episode. But with that being said, let me know in the comments if you guys will be open to me remastering the first like 2 or 3, maybe 4 at most, episodes of useless information. Because like I said, as much as it seems like I'm just trying to recycle content, I'm really not. I just cannot stand the quality of the microphone in those videos. So let me know if you'd be opposed to that. If you won't, that's great. I'll see you with those shortly. But if you are and you don't want to see it again, that's totally fine. I understand, but I just wanted to float it by y'all. Shout out to my members. Thank you all so much for supporting me. I love each and every one of you. And with that being said, click here to watch some more useless information, or click right here for some useful COD Zombies information. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.